So, welcome, Sergey,
Thanks.
to an On the Couch interview.
Thank you.
First one ever. So, maybe we'll just start if you can tell me a little bit about, how you started this whole adventure of traveling and playing. What gave you the idea to set off and start traveling and playing music everywhere?
Well, it was always a dream to play music, but I never took it seriously, because music is always treated like something, well, it's kind of a good thing to do, but it's never counted as a job or something that you can leave easily from that. And I was playing music, but never thought it can be possible just to live fully by the music, play your things, share it with people, and support yourself by this. But I was in Ukraine and I just started my small journey around, and then I just found out that I don't really come back home because it's kind of, I still have time, and so I'll always keep going traveling unless my money will go out. And then many things happened during this way. I met some nice people who were you meet some people, they gave you some ideas, and then I realized that music is kind of the thing, is much more important in my life than everything else. And I started playing some small house shows. My friends helped me out to organize them, and after that it kind of worked out that people were enjoying it, that were putting some money in a box, and I could travel from city to city and play my music. And then I found out it's kind of a key that can open every country, every door, and you can just go and play and travel full time. That's what I'm doing now, and I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, and you've been doing that for about 3.5 years, right? Was it June 2013? Was that when you left Ukraine?
I actually left Ukraine in 2012, but then it took me 1 year just to realize I was just traveling. First year I was just traveling and thinking just no reason. You travel sometimes to a little bit switch off and turn on again, so restart yourself. So it was a good restart, and then after this kind of 1 year I just decided music is the thing I want to do in this life, and I started doing that, and now I can't stop.
You're addicted.
Yeah, it's like rolling down from the hill. You just go and you just get this more speed and more speed.
Right, yeah. And so on that first big trip where you started playing, you hitchhiked from Ukraine to New Zealand, is that right? Or hitchhiked a lot of the way?
Yeah, well, because I couldn't afford myself buying tickets all the time. I was poor, and I am still poor, but I was just going from city to city and staying with some people, with some couch surfers, with some just nice people who I was meeting on the way, and trying not to spend money much, because it's kind of, as soon as I don't buy the ticket, I can buy some meal in the supermarket, whatever, and fully travel for some more time. So I was just reducing my spendings, and I could play some music, get some money out of it, and I just went through Russia, China, Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, then ended up in Papua New Guinea, then went to Australia, and then New Zealand seemed to be pretty close, and I went to New Zealand after. So it was 2.5 year trip, and it was pretty interesting and inspiring. Gave me a lot of new ideas for my new songs, and that's why I made that album.
Yeah, and that's why we got in touch, because you'd just been in New Zealand, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And and you did some of your recording in New Zealand, didn't you?
Yeah, with the help of some friends of mine who were in Auckland. They just said, "Hey man, I like your music." I was in a small interview as well, it was radio podcast, and they like my music. Said, "Hey, we have a studio, come over, we can have some time here and do some stuff." And I didn't really expect it will work out as an album recording or something, but we just made 3 songs and they were sounding so good. And before I got 3 songs recorded in Indonesia just by myself in a room, and when I came them together, wow, it's 6 songs, and I've got 2 more collaborations, and it was ended up 8 songs, so it was an album. And I was I want to release it somewhere in New Zealand. It would be nice to find someone there. So I was looking for some nice people who love music in New Zealand, but I ended up finding Monkey Records, which moved to Berlin, but they are originally from New Zealand.
Yeah, so you finished that trip in New Zealand after 2.5 years of traveling, and recorded your album. I mean, you got in contact with me. You were saying because you were originally looking for a New Zealand label.
Yeah.
And what got me interested was the fact that had done that massive trip, playing music all the way and playing in all sorts of places. Like, I think you said you'd done 250 gigs or something in that period of time.
Yeah, it's been good schedule.
Yeah, and so the gigs, how far in advance would you be organising those, or would they often be quite spontaneous, or how did it work, when you were actually on the road and travelling?
So in the beginning, I wasn't really good in organizing. I didn't know how to do it. So sometimes I would just contact venues like a week before because I was playing really small kind of house gigs. But then when I went first to China, I was trying to book some like kind of months in advance or something. But sometimes, it wasn't enough. But sometimes it was pretty okay just to come to the venue and said, hey, can I play here tomorrow? And just, come and play. Because, Asia is a little bit easier because people kind of want you to play because not so many bands are touring Asia, especially like the small countries like Laos, like Cambodia or like Vietnam. So it was pretty interesting for people discovered me being there. So they were happy to me play anytime. But usually just like 2 weeks, 1 month ahead. But then when I came to Australia, it was a little bit of a struggle because I was like, Asia, you can book gigs like 1 week in advance. But in Australia, people say, it's nice music, but we're booked for like half a year. Sorry, mate. So it was a little bit hard, but then I found out that if you booked at least 3 months before, it was easier. And then New Zealand as well, I booked like kind of a tour and 3 months in advance. And all the venues were pretty empty. Not empty, but they had some space for me. So kind of 3 months in advance was the best thing to get good deals and good people and good venues to promote it well. So it was alright.
Cool. And what was your most unusual gig during that trip?
So once I was invited in China by just random guy saying, he said, you play some music. He told me it was a guitar. And we went to this kind of club which was in a closed Buddhist temple. It was closed for reconstruction or something, so it was in the basement of the Buddhist temple, and you literally enter the temple, you go down, and they have this underground club with a stage where they were practicing as well, and I was playing there, which was like, wow, it's interesting, we're playing in a like underground club in a Buddhist temple in China.
Wow,
it was kind of a nice experience, but then the police came over.
Oh no.
And they checked the documents, and I don't know, they were talking something, but then I think the owners just gave them some money and they left.
Sounds a bit dodgy.
Yeah, it was strange with the police. Just 5 guys came. I was like, what the hell?
And your most favourite gig? Because is that too hard to pick a favourite?
Well, I can tell you another favourite, which is strange and favourite. In Papua New Guinea, I was on a boat with just some people who were trading battle nut and were going by river. It was 4 boats came together, and it was in the middle of the night. We were sitting, and it was people were nothing to do. We're just in the middle of the night, the moon, and I took my guitar, started singing songs, and everybody just kind of woke up and like joined us trying to sing together. And then somebody said, there are crocodiles in the river, and they put some torch in the water, and there were like a couple of crocodiles following us. So, and I was just playing the guitar in the middle of like Sipik River in Papua New Guinea on a like boats was full of betel nuts surrounded by crocodiles. Isn't it cool? So I was really happy to play this music with those people with crocodiles there.
You think the crocodiles enjoyed the music?
I think they were a good audience because they didn't eat us, so saying they had some music and left home.
Okay. Do you think if the people on the boat hadn't liked your music, they might have thrown you to the crocodiles?
It was tricky, but they liked me, and actually I ended up staying with one guy for like a week in his small village in Papua New Guinea, and I was treated like so well there because that guy was playing music as well, so kind of had this good connection through the music with some people, which happened actually a lot. So Japan was always kind of this dream destination country to go to because it's so unique and so interesting. Playing music there would be like double dream. So this last year, a lot of things started clipping about Japan. Like some of my friends went there. I started seeing some dreams about Japan, and I was like, I don't know. I kind of believe in the signs around us, so we need to follow them. So I just started collecting information about just trying to go to Japan, and it worked out easy. Not really easy, but it worked out, and I got invited by some artist residency there, so it was a purpose to go, and I booked some shows around, and it was pretty good response in terms of, wow, somebody's coming to play music, welcome. So ended up being there for 3 months and had a really interesting experience there. Like, the audience was really, really nice and unique. People are, I think, the most attentive listeners ever, but sometimes I was struggling because they are very shy, and I kind of try to work out with the audience, get them on a stage, or say, hey, I've got this instrument, want to play? And in Europe, there are like a couple of people, yes, me. So it's sometimes pretty, like a lot of people want to come, but in Japan, nobody wants to come to the stage. There's such a big, like, separation between artist and audience, and they are really shy being on the stage, being seen by other people. So it was interesting to experience how they're very listening. Nobody ever talks. You play in a like complete silence. You can hear, I don't know, every single noise around, but nobody's talking. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about that. I've seen 3 of your shows now here in Berlin, and each time you've got audience members come up and play various instruments, bells and whistles and things like that. When did you come up with that idea? Was that something you started with, or did it just sort of develop as you started touring and wanted to get sort of more audience participation and stuff?
Yeah, well, actually, it came just from the beginning, because I used to play at home I used to play in a band, so I kind of get used to play with some people around me on stage. But when I started like doing these house shows, I wasn't really confident enough in myself being by myself on the stage. I was shivering inside. I was like, whoa, I'm here. I wasn't confident. So why shouldn't you just get people on a stage from the crowd and give them some simple instruments? So that's how it worked out. I was just giving some small instruments on the stage, people coming over, and I was feeling better. I was more confident just being with someone on stage, because you got a habit of being with someone playing music together. And it worked out. It became kind of the trick that people were more excited about. So sometimes even like maybe they didn't like my songs a lot, but they liked this fact of interaction, so they were like happy to join it. So yeah, it works pretty well in terms of sometimes you play really small intimate gigs, and to get this good connection, it's really nice to share this music together and take people who are not only listening but taking part in the music process. It's kind of helps a lot.
Yeah, I think it's quite exciting for some people. Definitely. To get up on stage and play some music with a musician and get maybe a video or a photo that they can share on
that's right.
social media or whatever. I think it's a pretty cool idea. And the other question I wanted to ask you was you're buying a synthesizer today here in Berlin.
Yeah.
So is that the start of a new direction for Make Like a Tree, or what have you got in mind? Yeah.
No, well, I think it's just a never endless story of buying gear. There's a syndrome of buying gear or something it's called. So I can't stop doing that. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe the synthesizer will bring me to new songs, because every time I got some new instruments, I've got some more inspiration, because, well, it's like a painter who gets some new colors and they can draw with some new techniques. So sometimes it works out well. So I got an instrument and I add it to my setup and I kind of color it more. But sometimes you just buy things, you try to paint with it, and it doesn't work out. So we'll see. Hopefully the synthesizer will bring me some new songs.
Cool. And your last album, Animal, it's been out for a little while now, hasn't it?
About 1 year.
A year or so. Are you planning to do more recording in the near future?
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to do some more recordings. I'm having some songs here. I just need to put them out and put them on some digital, or I don't know, something. So I'm kind of collecting information, collecting stories, and then when it comes out, I feel really good after sharing that with people and after putting that on some hard copy.
So whereabouts are you from in Ukraine?
I'm from a city called Kharkiv, which is on the east side of Ukraine, and it used to be pretty good with music, like a lot of good bands coming from there, but I'm happy to be from there. had this good childhood, was surrounded by good people, and being from the right place, because I wouldn't be doing this if I would be coming from other place, I guess. So everything in the right place.
So your decision to leave and go traveling 3 years ago, was it connected with the political troubles in the Ukraine? Was that a factor?
No, actually, I left Ukraine just before this Ukraine became any news. So I was traveling already when everything started happening. This kind of dark news happened to be. So I don't know, I just left before everything started.
And was that quite difficult for you, being out on the road and hearing about the trouble back home?
It was kind of strange because I was kind of worried about my friends and family, but again, on the news it wasn't so realistic not really realistic, but it was different news from different sources. So from one source it was really dark and bad, from other sources it was alright, and my city and friends were safe and they were not in the middle of this kind of thing what was just happening, and those people who were even in the areas, they escaped in the right time, so they were all good.
Okay, and so now have things improved lately? Like there's still fighting going on. I know that much, but does it feel like you were back in Ukraine recently, right?
I'm coming back to Ukraine. I'm pretty happy every time when I come back to see my friends, to see people I'm connected with. But literally, I have no idea what's happening, because I don't think nobody ever knows what's happening exactly there. It's kind of really dark story. It has a lot of shadows, and you can't really, there's a lot of too many sources of information, and you never know which one exactly is correct. So I never been to the conflict area after. I was there before the conflict. I know how it looks like, but I've never been after, and I'm not the one who can answer the questions what is happening there.
You're not a political commentator.
No.
You just play music.
Yeah.
Sing songs. Great. So are there any places you'd really like to go visit? I mean, you've covered a big chunk of the world by now. You've been through Asia and Australia, New Zealand, and Europe, and Russia and Ukraine. Where do you want to go next?
So I'm really looking forward going to Middle East. I want to go to India, but I want to go make this trip through Iran, Pakistan, and India, and not flying to India, but just going by land, because I'm really interested in Middle Eastern culture and music especially. So by this travel I would like to get some new ideas of songs, new ideas of tunes. So I want to collect some ideas from those countries. So I don't know when it's gonna happen. Every time I look at this, India, Africa, South America, so many routes. We'll see. I'm looking for some signs around me.
Okay. That seems like a good place to stop.
Yeah.